Alrighty. If you could first just say your name.
My name is Donald Pearman. I'm Associate Director for the Academic Support and Career Development Unit here at the University of Maryland's Athletics Department.
And what year were you born in, Mr. Pearman?
1952.
Okay, and where? In the.
Brooklyn, New York, in Kings County Hospital at 7:15 a.m.
Is that where you attended grade school?
In Brooklyn, New York, yes.
Okay.
St. James Pro Cathedral, grades 1 through 8.
Okay. Do you remember the book 1984 by any chance?
Yes, I had to read that in high school.
Got you.
No. Yes, I did. I had to read that
in high school?
In high school, yes.
Okay. How did that book change people's views of America and the government at the time?
It didn't, at least not from my point of view, because it covered things that were improbable from our perspective at the time it came out. It was just predictions of things, and oftentimes they were pretty far-fetched things. So it was something we had to read, and it was a glimpse. Our teachers at the time thought it provided a glimpse into the future. So we read it because we were told to. But as the years passed, and then almost a decade after I had the thought, this is 1984. Okay, like Prince's Party Like It's 1999. Well, it was 1999, and things were completely different, and people dressed differently.
Mm-hmm. So you were in high school when you read 1984.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually 1984 until you were.
Because it was a future world.
Okay.
Kind of a novel.
So how old were you in 1985 or 84, if you don't mind me asking?
In 1984, I don't remember. I graduated high school in 1970. 1970 was my freshman year in college, and I was late 20s, early 30s ish.
So in 1985, obviously, we've got text messaging and cell phones today. How would you communicate in 1985 with somebody?
Telephone.
Telephone.
And if you didn't have access to a phone in your home or your apartment, then you had a pocket full of change, and you actually put money into the telephone and you made a call. Communication wasn't instant the way it is now. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, people will sooner send a text than pick a phone up. I'm guilty of that too because it's convenient,
mm-hmm.
But the way people communicated back then was, you would yell out the window, you would pick the phone up or something like that,
So you had to remember a lot of phone numbers back
then.
then.
Sure.
Had memorized them.
People had little black books if you were a single guy.
Okay.
Little black books with girls'
numbers in them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And those things were like gold.
If you lost your little black book,
you were in trouble.
Were upset.
Oh yeah.
Got you. So are there any specific movies or songs that you remember from that year?
No.
Big time?
Because by that time I had acquired quite a bit of experiences in movies, and as I had looked, I just Googled 1985. I had to do that, and there were some things I had. I basically saw many of the movies. I saw Rocky. By that time, it was Rocky IV, and I saw The Color Purple. I saw Cocoon. I saw Police Academy 2, A View to a Kill. That was a James Bond movie, and I didn't watch Mad Max, but those were the popular films. Oh, I also saw Back to the Future, and that was those were fun movies.
Yeah.
They weren't, earth shattering, and they didn't provide me with these insights into life or anything like that. So
Speaking of Back to the Future, what do you think, this is the last question, what do you think is the biggest difference between the 1980s and right now?
well, there isn't just one big difference. There are a number of differences that are a culmination of the passage of time, um, um, methods of communication, advancements in technology, um, but fundamentally, people still have to communicate. And there's a saying now which I never thought that I would be impatient with it, but now that I'm much older than I was, things are referred to as old school.
Hmm.
And back in the day, um, and the old school piece I tend to get impatient with because as you're a young person growing up, you're being raised by someone, you're being influenced by someone or significant people, either in the schools, family, sports, um, and there are rules. You have to have rules. A society has to have rules. And ways of being, please and thank you, all of those things. All of us, if we have good parents, those are the first things um, we are taught as children when we get language. Remember your please and thank you. Common courtesies. Some of that's lost. Self, personal responsibility, integrity, dignity. All of those things, they seem to have gotten garbled. And if you have those things as an older person, those attitudes, even those sayings, those cliches, they're considered old school. And that bothers me because it's not old school. It's the way it should be so that we can understand each other better fundamentally. You can add slang. Slang comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are certain slang words that have been around since, well before I became a teenager, and that is cool. You know, cool is cool. You can come up with any number of alternate words
Mm-hmm.
to, mean that, but cool has always meant cool, and it's easy to conjure up meanings for that, which oftentimes is different for each person. But cool is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Small children
No.
know what cool is. They use the word cool, and they don't have a clue as to what's really cool. But if they like it, it's cool. If they had fun with it, if it's memorable, it's cool. So that's always been. But other words, so, and then in the work that I do with younger people, um, I take note of the new language coming up. I have three sons and raised them up, and I heard all of the new languages. Um, you know, um, and I just chuckle sometimes. It's a form of entertainment for me.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of significant changes, well, we've had our you know aberrations, if you will, over the passing decades, politically, um, um, economically. Um, I've noticed though that there is a distinct lack of respect and courtesy amongst the grown-ups. Our political landscape is awful. There's no, and just downright vicious and small. And I think that if we have leaders, they should actually live what the responsibilities of their positions are. Um, I'm going to step out of my box here for a minute and refer to Donald Trump.
Mm.
I don't know how it's possible for someone like this guy to be in the public limelight running for a job where you're supposed to model behaviors and you know legislate and that sort of thing.
And he's belittling his opponents.
Everything and everybody. And it puts me in mind of kids on my block when I was growing up. The method of argumentation and that sort of thing. Just so that's significant. Everything else is going to change. Technology, yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Kids around here used to tease me because I had a flip phone. I got a smartphone now. I got apps, but they're useful. My sons use their smartphones for other things. They have access to instant information. That's a good thing too, that they can use it to look a word up. In my work here, I use the phone as an example to help them manage their time. This has got a calendar function. They can set reminders up for themselves so that, for peak activities like final exams, they won't miss it, because if all else fails, they'll have their faithful and trusty cell phone, which will beep them a reminder 15 minutes ahead of time, so that when they have their, excuse my language, when they have an oh shit moment, they've got 15 minutes to get there, So there's wonderful advantages. But then on the other side of things, there's just this evil that's been able to rear its ugly head, more so than ever before. We've had wars. I didn't get to go to Vietnam. I got a good lottery number, but it's been one thing after another, vicious stuff, So I think that's significant also. But people still want the same things. You want the best for your children, which I've come to learn because I'm a dad, and I grew up poor in Brooklyn, New York. My 3 sons I raised in the suburbs, and they've had a good life so far. I still want the best for them, and that's the way it should be. And that's the way it is, We just have, a lot of poor people, a lot more poor people than ever before. And that's where the economic downturns come in. And that's where the bad manners on the part of our leaders who are supposed to be pulling us out of this. But because we have a black president, they have made it their mission for 8 years to stop everything he's attempted to do for the betterment of everyone in this country. And that bothers me a lot. But life goes on. Donald Trump isn't going to be around forever, but I will.
All righty. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.